Welcome back to this month's Real Estate Roundtable, your all-in-one comprehensive view of what's happening across the real estate industry, straight from some of the industry's earliest technology adopters and foremost experts in marketing, technology, cybersecurity, brokerage, government policy, capital construction, and institutional investment. My name is Andreas Senni, founder, CRE Collaborative, brokerage owner, commercial director here at KW, as well as a technology growth strategist for both the nonprofit and for-profit sectors. And joining me this month is none other than Rebecca Carlson, founder, CEO, Carlson Integrated, past president, Night Car Association, brokerage owner herself, and woman-owned business out of Chicago. Rebecca, nice to have you back with us.
Wonderful.
I bring up the women-owned business because I know how hard it was to get there, and it was a lot of work out of Chicago. So I keep bringing it up as a tribute to that. Also joining us today, although running a bit late, is Chris Abel. So we'll wait on the introduction. Our good friend Saul Klein couldn't make it. Neither could Anna Maria and Dan Wagner from England. But making his appearance, as usual, when needed, always needed, Professor Darren Hayes, CEO, Code Detectives, professor at Pace University, one of the top 10 cybersecurity forensic specialists in the country. Darren, always a pleasure to have you when you drop in, although you scared the pants off me most of the time. It saved my sanity once in my life when I was a hacker. So always nice to see you. How are things on your end?
Everything's good. Thank you. Good to be back here.
Good to be back. And when Chris joins, Chris Abel, Membership Director, Associated Builders and Contractors Association, will be joining us as soon as he can. He wanted to give us some time to get started and talk through. As always, this is a three-part show. Part one, introductions. What's new for each of our sector experts? Part two, we unpack and drill down on the biggest changes in the industry for each of us. And part three, how does that affect the overall industry? How can you stay ahead of your competition? So, to my right in the Brady Bunch screen, Becca, what is the latest and greatest out of Chicago in the marketing world and brokerage world?
Well, we're pretty excited about our local ICSC Central Conference coming up next week here in Chicago, where we're attracting, practitioners and owners and retailers from all over the Midwest. And
ICSC stands for
Innovative Commerce Serving Communities, formerly International Council of Shopping Centers, for the first 15 years of my membership.
And for our audience tuning in, the International Council of Shopping Centers is the most respected, well-regarded venue association for anything retail. Always has been. And now above and beyond as the, whatever you just said, the longer name that a lot of us don't agree with as a branding aspect. So that's exciting. ICSC is coming to town. And how are things going in town, marketing and otherwise?
So I've had some really great conversations lately. I've got owners who are raising investment funds and deploying capital. We're seeing transactions happen. They're very quiet. Not a lot of publicity around them, but they are absolutely happening. Shopping center vacancy is down. Occupancy is up. It's a great time to own retail real estate, which is first and foremost on my mind with the conference coming up next week, of course. And I have other clients that are expanding and building their businesses, whether that's in brokerage, whether that's in property management, insurance, all of those things. I've seen some stagnation in the hiring front and in the job front, especially after the last jobs report came in that last year's findings were all lies and were completely inaccurate, which coincides with conversations that we've had over the past 9 months in this group. So now I'm seeing that practically hit in the marketplace. And marketing is an interesting field to be in that it's one of the first departments that's cut. So I'm getting inquiries almost weekly from people who are sending me resumes. Do I know of anybody who's hiring? Where are marketing opportunities coming from? And since a lot of them have significant technical experience, they have been very much impacted by the layoffs at some of the very, very large software companies and are trying to parlay that into the modern marketing world. And there's just not that many jobs. So we're seeing some kind of big picture and nationwide issues as it relates to marketing hiring right now.
So what I heard there was we were 12 months ahead of the trend in everything we talked about here on the show. That's what I heard.
Visionaries.
Labor shortages, visionaries. Okay. and I see Chris is joining us, but I'm still going to skip him over to Taryn, and we're going to circle back over to that hiring trend and so forth, because I got to ask Taryn, and it leads me into it. With everything out there, how do I even know the guy applying is who he really says he is, and AI and all of it? But what's going on in cybersecurity in your world? Welcome back.
Yeah, great to be here again. Thank you. Lots of interesting things, in the world of AI. I've been actually reading about some of these people who are being made up, these like pretty ladies to be influencers and YouTube influencers and making a lot of money, but they're actually created out of AI tools. So that's really interesting. Been working, still in the area of human trafficking. Was at a great conference down in Arkansas earlier in the summer, which was very impactful. In fact, while we're at the conference, a couple of people collaborated and took down a group who were trafficking women right near where the conference was. So that's how impactful it was. So that was kind of interesting. Learned about a group called Skull Games who actually do OSINT and help investigators. They create profiles on girls who are missing, and it's all volunteer work, people who are dedicated to looking at profiles and looking for missing children and help the authorities find those people. So at Pace University, we're looking to start a new center that's going to have the theme of counter human trafficking, but also we're partnering with some groups in the UK who also have an initiative with the UK government called Violence Against Women and Girls. So that's kind of interesting. Completely different shift from that is the influence on the upcoming presidential election. I don't know whether anybody saw the news today. There was a right-wing US influencers say they were victims of an alleged plot. And just reading through this indictment today, apparently the state broadcaster RT, which was formerly Russia Today, paid $10 million to have content distributed to US audiences with hidden Russian government messaging. And so that's kind of interesting. We're seeing lots of intrigue with the upcoming election, which Russia has a very, very big hand in, but not just them, but also China.
Well, so I mean, if the incumbent stays in office, it's good for real estate. The stock market stays stable. And if someone else comes into office, stock market moves, and you race to real estate. So either way, it's good for us. I would think, given the advances in technology, and especially this I don't want to say focus on trafficking, but as you're highlighting this area, with all the traffic logistics that happen, I mean, if we're in a 2016 car or newer, it's tracking us all the time. If guys go on the job site for construction, it's tracking them all the time, but container ships, all of it. In a world where everything and anything is being tracked at any given moment, how can this still be such an immense human trafficking? And more importantly, it sounds like we just all need to go back to meeting in person, sharing business cards, and doing business together with your trusted network, of which Chris Abel is definitely a part. Chris, thanks for joining late. I know you were rushing.
Sure.
Welcome back for this month. It's been a while. It's been longer than Darren.
Yeah, it's been a couple months. That's why I was like, I'm coming in, I'm dealing with traffic. I'm like, I gotta get on. Just to find out that there's really nothing I could say that's going to be as intriguing as what Darren just dropped as far as taking down, trafficking rings and all sorts of different stuff.
Second most viewed episode we've done, Darren. You brought up human trafficking just to show you how much the world cares, right? So good. I am curious, that event where they took down a trafficking ring just outside of it, byproduct, on purpose, happenstance? Is it?
No, I think when you get a lot of experts together, I'm sure it's the same in the real estate industry. Just, we rely on Zoom and remote meetings so much, but when you actually meet in person, I think there's a lot more value. You kind of feed off each other's energy a lot more, and I think that's really what happened. Is you find a lot of people who are experts, and the guy who organizes this conference is really good with networking people, and he's good with introducing you to people who are real experts or people who need help with something. I met a couple of people who used to be responsible for IT and threat intelligence at Walmart, because Walmart that's where they're based, is in Bentonville, Arkansas. Tyson Foods is also headquartered down there. But it stands to reason. I didn't think about it before, but Walmart has probably maybe the best cybersecurity experts in the country, because they have such a vast, let's say, not really empire, but they're everywhere, right? And they need to be on their game in terms of cybersecurity, and just meeting those people and having a chat. You just you learn so much from these people about the latest threats, and they also help a lot of other companies out there to succeed. They've raised awareness with other threats. They've helped government agencies when they need it. So really, really inspirational people that I met at the conference. So
to be fair, when I walk in, one of the things I remember about Walmart, whenever I walk into any Walmart, just past the registers near the bathrooms, generally, that's the big wall of missing people, right? That's where, if you want to feel human trafficking at home, walk back there and you'll see this giant wall, missing people, interstate, wherever you go. But you're saying that they do more than anyone else. I mean, McDonald's is a pretty broad company. Do they have the great cybersecurity as well, or is it just Walmart's ahead of the curve? I'm going to push you on that a bit, because they also do the hidden trafficking.
I'm really talking about cybersecurity in general, not really trafficking, but when you think about it, just the larger you are and the more money that transfers through your accounts, you've got to be a lot more tech savvy and have the best cybersecurity team out there. I mean, I know one of the people who is kind of management and digital forensics for Home Depot down in Atlanta, Georgia, and he's a brilliant mind, and I know why he was hired. But they have, we all often think about tech companies or other businesses having a very, very robust cybersecurity team. But when you think about some of these bigger companies, that massive retail chains across the country, they have to have very huge threat intelligence teams and also cybersecurity teams. So from the threat intelligence perspective, it's everything from sentiment analysis, because you have competitors who try to run smear campaigns against some companies, or pass along misinformation, or there's a lot more companies that are becoming more sensitive to doing business in certain areas, right? Pulling out of Russia, that kind of thing.
Out of Brazil,
which can make them more of a target as well, right? So they have to have that threat intelligence. They have to stop misinformation on social media, which is a really big thing for Russia. And so they need a lot of really good threat intelligence people who can monitor that and see if what misinformation is being spread out there. It's kind of like the Starbucks thing out there, where suddenly people were saying Starbucks is anti-Semitic, and it was just really a lot of nonsense and misinformation. And companies really have to have their finger on the pulse in terms of misinformation that's happening out there, because especially with an election time, there's a war in Ukraine, what's happening in the Middle East. Threat intelligence has become really, really important, and it's just as important as cybersecurity and protecting your network and looking at firewalls, looking at social media, and what is the sentiment towards your company is really a big deal today. It can cost you millions of dollars if you make the wrong steps.
Well, so you may not know this, and I think I mentioned it, episode 11, in which, for those just tuning in, it was a long time ago. Now with 3,000 tune-ins and in the top 5%, if not 10% globally, it was a very long time ago. Most commercial real estate practitioners, owners, operators may still, and I don't know if this is true today, but at least 5 years ago, we're still operating on Windows XP. Didn't even know what HDMI was, and Outlook was still very much a thing, and Excel is still very much a thing. I still turn to Excel, right? So when you talk about intelligence signals and all of this, at least to me recently, it's become a lot of white noise. Social media noise, ad noise, persona noise. And I don't know if that's true, Becca, maybe on the market side, you'll have some insight there. And I know, at least on my last conversation with Chris, on the construction side, I mean, some of those guys are still, pardon my way of saying this, paraphrasing, still running XP. They're not on social at all. They don't need to be. So I go back to let's go back to trading cards concept and only go into conferences and get off all social media, especially because somebody hijacked me last month about not being on some certain channel. I think it was Becca. But it's a crazy world.
You didn't know it existed. You missed Threads on Instagram.
But I also said Instagram's for people that can't read and Twitter's for people that can't write, and they should just get back on the phone. But I have to take that back because my beloved clients are on there, and I'm happy to communicate wherever they are in the medium they are in. Really, I am. Can you tell? But where is too much in all this, right? Construction's still going to keeping on. Everyone on this call just said we need to get back in person. Why can't I just ignore my online profile and go back to the way it was? That's the marketing or Chris Abel or Darren, candidly.
Do you want me to answer that?
I'll take any answer I can get,
because
especially if it keeps me off Threads.
Have to control it. If you don't own those handles and somebody else goes in posing as you because you didn't keep it and you didn't pay attention to it and you didn't keep your login and your password, like someone else can take that and impersonate you.
Okay, so then that brings us back to the .com world of, hey, let me buy RebeccaCarlson.com.
I own BeccaCarlson.com because I don't want, right?
I don't want my name. Yeah.
I don't want somebody else putting on a website and pretending they're me. That's terrifying.
Okay. But do you own whatever the Threads version of that is, or Twitch, or at what level is? How far down do we go? How many social media platforms are there?
So we stick to the B2B ones because we are B2B business. So anything that's B2B related for the company, we have a profile on. So even if we don't have the handle that's specifically Carlson Integrated, if you look for Carlson Integrated, we are one of those. And we are the credible one of those. And we're posting regularly and we're active regularly because that's what presumably people who've heard my company name are looking up and getting that result. It also helps us, occupy that first page of Google. And we've had longevity at it, which also benefits us from that SEO standpoint, that if someone else is creating a fraudulent Carlson Integrated, the truth of the matter is that I'm populating that first page of Google because I was there first.
Or you're paying for it, but yes, understood. One or the other, or a combination of both, right?
Correct.
I loved Google My Business because I was posting to it, nobody else was, and I didn't pay for AdWords. It was fantastic when it worked. I've been told now that if I do Reels on YouTube, that I'll get to the top Google search.
I think
nobody else is doing shorts. Excuse me, short. Hey, this is your realm, not mine. But so here I am. I'm on Threads or one of the others. Blue Sky, right? Big in Brazil. And I open up Carlson Integrated, and I'm stuck, right? Because if I'm not Carlson Integrated, you don't know that it's there. It's growing. In my case, EAC Properties, growing brand, right? Similar brand in Texas. Nothing I can do. Just exists, right? We're stuck. How do I overtake my competitor? Or do I focus on something else, print, advertising? Not to hone in on this, but you hurt my feelings last month when I didn't.
Do you have a good trademark attorney, Andreas?
It's great.
How about your IP? Are you protecting that?
I am absolutely protected on all three. I just am not going to pay 30 grand for a domain name.
No,
From
but are you
someone
going
who
to
happens to
send
own
cease
it.
and desist letters to people who are using your company name? They're not very expensive if you have the IP.
We do. We're trademarked, branded, and maybe that's the answer. But then again, simpler answer. What we did, we shortened it, just like Newmark and others. We have a shortened domain name, so we went with EAC Props, right?
Yeah.
Super simple, straightforward, and it gets everyone there. And we are very much the top page of Google. I think they're on page 30. The other group. Not to disparage. That's not a disparaging comment. It's by location. I don't know how Google works. It's just the truth. But it makes me think back to, there was someone who came out and sued Facebook for owning Meta, right? They had the first Meta domain. Facebook came out and said, no, we did. What do we do, or how do we do that? How do we handle that as businesses? Because I don't know about you guys, but I don't have enough time to run my business as is, let alone be a cybersecurity specialist, or what Becca's stating, not a marketing maven. Seems like it goes above that, given the IP for legal and so on. And we're skipping Chris entirely on the construction side for the moment, but I'm coming back to you.
All right. Sorry.
Well, I think that, just on this point, a lot of people focus so much on their credit and has their personal information been stolen, and what information is out there about me, that they forget about their own companies and what are people saying about my company. Is there any leaked information out there? Has it been posted to Pastebin or Just Paste It? Or, what about my documents? People as well forget about on their website and their domain that there are documents that were posted years ago. And I've used some of these tools where you can find these hidden documents that have been there and sitting out there for ages, and companies don't even realize that information is still out there and still accessible with some tools.
What is Just Paste It? I'm sorry.
So Paste It, Slexy, Pastebin, these are websites where people post information anonymously. So you can just copy and paste it to that site. And there's lots of sensitive information out there. There's social security numbers, a lot of disgruntled, employees. Maybe they were fired. They take sensitive information that they took from the company and they post it on there. Maybe your intellectual property. And it's
not quite Snowden, but like
it's like
an alternative.
It's like a WikiLeaks, yeah. But people know about WikiLeaks, but they don't think about Pastebin and Slexy and Just Paste It and some other ones, yeah.
As I always said, I will work in technology until technology goes so fast I can no longer talk it coherently, and it's bypassing me. And I'm happy to be surrounded by smarter people who know this through and through. CRECo keeps growing. I was talking to Saul the other day. Inland just won another award for their work in tech. Everyone's out there growing in their tech space, but surrounding themselves with the right people, real people, which is the point. Chris, let me jump over to you for a second. So here you are. You've grown. You have actually, congratulations, right? You're now working nationwide with ABC.
A little bit. Yeah, no, thank you. No change. I'm still at the chapter level, but I'm officially part of the National Membership Directors Council for ABC National. So just going to be helping train and work with some of the other membership directors throughout the country, and keep
that just mean more
always
travel.
A little bit, probably getting to some of the things I would be traveling to a couple of days earlier to work with some of the other membership directors and getting some more calls and things of that nature. But to be honest with you, staying more tuned in isn't really a problem or an issue. It's something I should be doing anyway. So making sure that I'm on the calls I need to be on and being accountable for not only myself, but making sure I'm there for our other membership directors and other staff. So it's a good deal. It's a good deal. So I'm happy to be a part of it. So
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
It's incredible watching. Everyone's growing into different realms, different areas. I'm going to ask this question because I don't have Saul or Dan or Anna Maria here. How many of you guys are using AI to help you along in your business at this point? Note taking, whatever it is, for whatever reason.
I have not, but it's obviously it's a hot topic in construction. Not really at all. But I've had some people that I'm working with that, admittedly are sending me stuff and saying, "Hey, listen, I just, I drummed this up. I know you've been asking for it. I know you've been talking about it. I went on and started, dabbling with some AI tools, and you know what? I'm pretty happy with what I have. Just kind of take a look at this and let me know what you think." So kind of indirectly, I haven't been, but people have been sending me stuff and saying, take a look, let me know what you think. And I'll be honest with you, the stuff they've been sending me, there's been very little tweaks that I've had to, kind of get involved with before I actually post things and put it out there and say, hey, this is the direction that we're going in. So, and I know that ABC in general, there's been a lot of talk about AI in general. So it's coming at me kind of fast and furious, and I'm excited about it. I just haven't honestly really had the time to get
to learn it.
Overly involved. Yeah, with getting involved myself, but it's I'm looking forward to it. It's a new thing for me. It's a new thing to get involved with, and I'd rather I don't want to say take it on head on or anything like that, but I'd rather be involved than kind of put my head in the sand and make believe it's out there.
He joined a bit late, but Becca mentioned that finally the world has caught up with the fact that there's a labor shortage, even though it was mentioned here first many episodes ago across all our industries. The reason I brought up the AI question was in respect to that, right? So how many jobs are being replaced by AI? I still say none, because it hallucinates and is a day one intern. That's why I was asking. So you're seeing it as still as a foundational tool. People are using it to create content and only content. There's no robots out there building buildings with AI.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely a part of construction. It's a huge part of construction, but the physical labor side of things are, it's still going to be people out there and doing the work. What I'm seeing a lot as far as the in my space, and I did come in a little bit late, and I heard Becca talking a little bit about the marketing, the job side of things. I'm seeing a lot of people moving around. It was like, I'll tell you, it was almost like right before Labor Day. Friday was a lot of people's last day in one spot, a lot of announcements on LinkedIn, and it's almost been tough to keep track of our database and our constant contacts and our to make sure that everyone is getting what they need, who's moving from one company to another, who's on the verge of that, who's looking. I've actually just was contacted earlier today in regards to some marketing positions. Actually, some people just kind of shifting here and there. It's tough to keep track of. It's almost like musical chairs, honestly, in Connecticut right now. In the AEC side of things, of people moving from one spot to another, and who's going to fill in this and who's going to, it's definitely a musical chair situation. But it's exciting because people are excited about the places that they're going to, and I'm seeing a lot less in the AEC side of things where we are, of people talking badly about where they came from. And that's no joke. I mean, honestly, people saying, "Hey, listen, I left on great terms. I just got a great opportunity," which is a good situation, because I have other people contacting me about, "Hey, what's going on over there?" And I'm like, you know what? Not hearing anything bad. Might be something you might want to look into. And everything's happening in just real time, very quickly right now. So it's exciting. It's an exciting time, to be out there, and a lot of moving and shaking going on.
Well, yeah, Connecticut, that's where we want to invest, right?
There you go.
And why is that, Andreas? Tell me what's so
'Cause-
great about Connecticut.
Oh, really? So, yeah, we lead the country and kids going to college, and kids are the future. So that's just that simple.
There you go.
And if that's not enough for you, look, Shelton as a city has a balanced budget, low taxes, great enterprises, 92% occupancy in our office buildings. Why is that? There's 100 different reasons I could tell you, but I won't take up the whole call. More importantly, I'm in continuation of that thought with Chris.
I will, but hold on. No,
He's gonna hit me on the Shelton thing.
No, I'm not worried about the Shelton thing. It's the college thing. It's a college thing.
Don't mess with my statistic. That statistic's been in place for like 40 years. I have to fight hard to not talk about taxation. Leave me alone with the kids going to college.
Well, I was gonna roll with the pizza thing, or like, college basketball or something simple, but I don't know. But I will say that the only thing about the college thing is it is what it is. I mean, I just need people to get in the trades like fast. So
I didn't say they went to college in Connecticut. I said kids going to college.
Going to
your words are important, right?
Fair enough.
Things and
fair enough.
But thank you for the shameless plug into Connecticut, which continues to grow and thrive, as do other pockets, right? There's pathways to profitability all over the country in every industry we're in. No matter what, money moves or it dies. Period.
I have a quick question for Chris, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I was just thinking. I was actually speaking to when I was in Ireland not so long ago, a quantity surveyor, and I was just wondering if you could see AI replacing some of that function.
A little bit, absolutely. I was actually just speaking with someone yesterday about something very, very, very similar. So I could see some of that, taking place of people out there. But I won't. I think there's just so many more opportunities out there for the person that it may, I don't. Replace is where it gets a little interesting, because it may replace that particular position, but there are so many other opportunities out there for people to get involved in, and exciting stuff, and actually using that information and that data, and the fact that part of their job may be getting replaced, but if they can embrace it, they're still going to have to work with that data, still going to have to work with that information, and maybe move into a situation where, they can get involved with project management, or that, as long as they have the knowledge in the industry, there are opportunities for them. So I don't see someone going, all right, we're going to start using this. Go take off. See you later. They should look around and go, you know what? This person still has stacks of knowledge. Let's see where else we can use that knowledge and that desire to actually get out there and work with it. So yeah, no, it's an interesting thing to look into. It's an interesting take as well. So
AI won't replace you, someone using it well, but there's other jobs in other sectors. It looks like we all need help, right? Every sector.
Yeah.
And on the
a lot of bidding wars going on in the AEC side of things.
Look, a lot of RFPs
for individuals,
municipalities, everything. Everybody's moving. Things have to change, right?
Yep.
So one of the most heavily data-driven or data-laden areas is marketing. Is AI disrupting you finally on your side, Becca? Coming back to cybersecurity, you said you got tons of people being hired over there, Darren. I'm curious, Becca.
So I am glad that you asked, because I have a couple more new use cases for AI. And one of them is CSS coding for websites. So we do a fair amount of website development, and we have found that it's very fast to ask AI to generate a code snippet for a specific style sheet for a section of a website. So that has been, as kind of modern website developers without a lot of historical, how sites were built 10 or 20 years ago, 15 years ago, we don't have that knowledge. We're a little younger than that set. from a knowledge base, and we have been able to utilize AI for some of those code snippets.
So I believe, Darren, correct me here, that would be called, I don't know what today's version is, but that's a script kitty, right? But the new version, right? You use AI to take it and build it. I know he's frothing at the mouth here. He's like, yeah, if they're doing that with websites, imagine what they're doing with hacking, because it's just that easy.
Well, it's terrifying, but that makes perfect sense.
But did that replace a person, or did it make your team smarter?
It does not replace a person at all.
It made someone smarter
in a limited setting, and we're cautious about that. So this is, specific code that we are reading every line of it. These are very short code snippets, so we're not, we're able to check it for the veracity and make sure there's nothing weird that's inserted in there that's going onto the website. We're not doing full pages. We're not doing copious amounts of information. This is literally just, let's change red to blue when in this use case. I mean, they're very simplistic, but we're doing that intentionally because we don't want to populate it with a bunch of code that we don't understand every single piece of code that is in there. So we're very conscientious about the use case of it. I've seen some really interesting commercials about building websites entirely with AI. We are not going to be the first movers in that space. We're not going to.
Marketing's not headed there. Right, because perception is everything. And if it goes askew and it goes crazy, you're in trouble, right? I mean, Darren, I was nice enough to sit on a panel with Darren once for product development for mobile apps, I remember, at Pace. And the reason I'm asking is, so you've got Becca over here on the marketing side deploying AI in a very, very limited basis, little chunks. The way I use it, it's like, hey, write my first draft, and then let me make it real, right? I'm hoping. But are you seeing the same, Darren? Not to cut you off, Becca.
No, I would say there's one area where AI will probably not be allowed in and is actually going to be pushed out, and that's in code development for the federal government. So the federal government have an initiative called SBOM, and SBOM means that if you work for the federal government or you're a contractor for the federal government, you have to be able to attest to every line of code and what it does, because we've had so many problems with developers kind of fast tracking the development of mobile apps, for example, by borrowing code libraries from other people or borrowing code from this and that. And the federal government has said, no, we're not going to accept that kind of code anymore. This has to be all written by you. And even, you can't, there's even, regulations about who writes the code. So there are certain countries in Europe, for example, that you should not be asking coders in those countries to be writing code for a product that's going to be used by the US federal government. An obvious one would be probably Belarus or, Russia or those kinds of countries. Yeah.
But really what you're talking about is what I know to be like open source, right? As a broker, copycat is the finest form of flattery, right? If I get a great piece of marketing from Becca and it's a great template, it's a great style, and she put it out as an investor prospectus, I look at that and I go, you know what, that's a great template. I never thought of including that. And I include it. What you're talking about is on the code side, taking the foundation, the functional blocks and pulling it over and using it as well, right? Instructions the same, the blueprints, the plans. So it doesn't regulate it out there.
It doesn't affect a lot of people, but it'll affect anybody who wants to do work for the federal government. Yeah.
Well, so that goes to students in college getting AI to write their essays. It's the same concept.
Sure.
Real knowledge, real people, not AI created headshots. Two people in person doing deals. See, and people swinging hammers. Sorry, I'm on an AI kick. So I actually, while Saul and I disagree here, and Saul is a big proponent of moving forward, AI is going to replace everything in some ways, and I push back. I said, never is going to replace realtors. I have jumped on the fence. I have picked up AI to take notes, to summarize things, to act very much as an executive assistant. And thus far, it's actually been very productive. I have only had one instance where someone said, "Hey, that wasn't you. That's not your response." And I said, "No, that was my assistant, Mr. Marty, the AI tool, soon to be Mr. Marty." But it's been helpful. But I can see where it's very unhelpful, where it can really hurt the industry. Absolutely. That's from my side and the brokerage side. Otherwise, I'd like to think it's made me smarter, if not more wary of anything and everything I see online. I just like picking up the phone. I keep picking up the phone. As a matter of fact, I'll jump ahead. That's the one tip I'll give to the industry. Nobody else picks up the phone today. Pick up the phone and call someone. Everyone else is too busy texting. So you'd be amazed at how much you're getting done. We are at 6:40. We're moving through the hour. Chris, as far as what's moving and shaking in the industry, I get it, construction, while using AI somewhat. Mosier is the tech I think of about being replaced as far as making, moving, and planning properties. You can do it with the satellite. They can measure your house now with AI and totally build out the construction what's possible. What's the biggest threat to your members and their business, and how do they get around it?
The biggest AI based or just in general?
If AI is not the biggest in general.
I mean, as far as the issues, as far as my members go, there's a lot of stuff on the political side of things in regards to, how tax dollars are being used and how, who's being chosen to build certain things. The other thing is, we have some situations where, I've seen some people moving around as far as, as I mentioned earlier, as far as people moving around, but people moving around when they have some real big caseloads, real big active jobs where, project managers going from one company to another where they have 4 or 5 jobs under their belt. This is a direct, the direct result of what we spoke about months and months ago in regards to, the employment gaps and things of that nature, where all of a sudden you got somebody, let's say a year ago, all of a sudden they got strapped with about 4 or 5 different jobs. You got a project manager working on 4 or 5 different jobs. The jobs finally got underway. They're rocking and rolling. They're doing what they have to do. And then they are like, you know what? They're throwing their hands up because they got a better offer. And then they're leaving, going somewhere else. And, you have these GCs sitting there with 5 different jobs, and their project manager has left. And the other thing is the toll that it's taking on some of those people that are sticking around and don't have another option because they're staying in a place where they've worked for 15, 20 years. They want to be loyal, and it's taking a toll on the mental health side of things. So some of the issues that we're seeing are from within, within the actual industry. It's not necessarily the threat on the outside as much as it is like the supply chains and all the other stuff that we were dealing with for years. And we spoke about a lot. You're talking about some threats from within where, people are poaching, people are taking people and, throwing offers. The younger crowd is not sticking around. They're going and they're working, and then someone else throws $3 extra an hour to them, and then they leave. So the loyalty is a big threat right now. And then, like I said, the ones that are staying loyal to the companies, are they doing what's best for themselves? Are they handling things the way they need to handle things? It's really interesting. Now, to keep it short, I'm speaking from my perspective, which is an interesting one just because I'm surrounded by just a ton of different avenues and people who want to talk to me about different things. So it's the membership role where I have 240 plus members talking to me and seeing what they're actually dealing with on the inside of things, and having to, fortunately and unfortunately, be a little bit of a Venus flytrap and not just keep my mouth shut. I'm talking in very broad strokes right now. I'm not getting into details, but I end up getting spoken to about a lot of detail. I'm like, it's very important for these business owners to understand what makes people tick right now. And it's not just letting them just sit there and work from home all the time or whatever the case is, or put the golf simulators in the break rooms, because during COVID, that's what people were doing. They were doing all sorts of different stuff and trying to, now people building offices and trying to mimic what it's like for people to be at home, but just to really understand what is important to them and what, and a lot of it goes back to family. A lot of the stuff goes back to family. It's not necessarily making the workplace fun. It's how can we make sure that, these people are having a good experience at work and being able to go home and actually have that family time when they need to have that family time, and not be miserable when they're at home, and not be, if that makes sense. They really have to understand what makes them tick, and what are they, the threats are from within. I'm very very much very much seeing that across the board.
And are those threats because of people moving? So you've had shifts in you just said it, right? People kept changing locations. So now you've got new, let's call it new blood, not older or younger, just new faces and new places of positions of authority making changes. So loyalty is at risk. So now you're maybe working later.
I have two
good, the world is changing.
And I have two good friends of mine. I'll keep this super short. Two good friends of mine that they're young. They're not super, super young, but they're young. They have years to work. And they left the industry. And they went and and I love it. They basically followed their dreams. And they're doing things that are totally outside the industry. But if they wanted to come back, they could make a whole heck of a lot more money than they're probably making. But it's just not that important to them. They just said, you know what, let me throw my hands up and throw caution in the wind and just go. And you have people doing that. You have people doing that in every sector right now, and, we all have different ambition and different dreams and different things that we want to do. And, there's this mentality of there's no better time than now, falls into, and that also falls into the political side of things. People are really feeling, like, what am I doing? What am I waiting for type of mentality. The government's not going to help. No matter what happens in the election, there's going to be results that people like and dislike. We all still have to pay our taxes, and we all still have to live our lives and take care of our families. And, so I see a lot of people just making moves back and forth. It's interesting.
Well,
it's an interesting
moving to Connecticut where the taxes are lower. Just kidding.
There you go.
Plugging Connecticut today. Look, you're right out of Chicago. You don't have enough people today, so I'm just going to be happy in Connecticut. We all know that Ireland's the best place to live anyways. Darren will tell us, even though he's had...
We don't mind,
right? Becca, on your side, and Chris, well said. It's an evolving, changing world, and I will channel my inner Saul. It's all about those paradigm shifts, right? What's the big change that changes it all, right? And what are you going to do about it? Becca, over to you on marketing, marketing, brokerage, and as past president of Nightcar. So you've sat in a similar seat to Chris, just in a different sector, membership and so on. Go on.
I was going to go with the uncertainty breeds opportunity concept, because anytime there's uncertainty, there is opportunity. And that's my business development hat. But you just threw me a curveball, buddy, because I was not thinking from that association management hat. So here's what I'm going to say. Whenever you're in a leadership position of a company, of an association, of any sort of organization or any business, you got 2 ears and 1 mouth. Listen to your people. Ask them questions and listen to what they say. Because that's the only way to build culture of any sort of company, organization, is to actually hear your people. And as any service provider, I would say that that's correlative. In a social media strategy, for instance, listen to your audience. Make sure that your marketing is speaking to your sales team, and your sales team is telling the marketing department what is happening when they're having conversations with real prospects. Because if that funnel doesn't get through, you're just pushing content and adding to that white noise you talked about earlier, Andreas. But if we listen, then you can respond. Just stop and listen. So there we go. Two very different tangents to go on, but I think both very solid advice.
Well, stop and listen, which meant the phone, not by text and not by through the rest of it. I'm happy with that. It's well said. And Darren, out there, fake signals, fake people, listening, not listening, a world in chaos. Cybersecurity-wise, where do you sit in all this? Back on the show.
Yeah, well, depends what perspective you're talking about. What kind of chaos? Are you just talking about?
Not the organized chaos that makes us smarter, better humans and evolving. We're talking about, I guess, the orchestrated chaos, or not. And I leave that to you, the cybersecurity front. And you totally skipped out on my question. I got Chris nailed down. I nailed down Becca on AI replacing people in their sectors. People, and before you answer the what to do about the world ending or not ending in your side, is AI helping you with the labor shortage? Is it taking jobs, or is it making people smarter?
I think it's going to be more positive than anything. So I think that, we're seeing a lot of success in terms of coding and the ability to make people code better.
But not copycat coding, not script kidding, actually becoming smarter at writing code.
Well, the problem is that doesn't always make you smarter if you're just asking AI to create some code to do something for you, and that's a concern. And also the concern with some students that I see is that you can tell that the way that they talk or they write is different from some of the assignments that they turn in, and this is a huge problem. So you have to figure out how much are they actually learning. And so proctoring exams is really, really important. And there you see a big difference when you have a proctored exam and how people write. You see, well, this is a lot different from the weekly assignments that were being turned in because those weren't being proctored. I think that some of this productivity is getting better in a way because, we have websites like Fiverr, for example, where you can actually get somebody to help you create your website pretty cheaply,
or Carlson Integrated.
Yes. But I think that what it's going to help with, and I see in the world of digital forensics, which is my passion, and finding people or solving crimes, we have a lot to learn about the use of how AI is being used in medicine, where you have all of somebody's records and you have, AI can help you come to a diagnosis or prognosis. But I think with AI in investigations, you can hopefully one day be able to say, this is the type of crime I'm investigating. Where should I look? And AI should be able to say, well, if it's this type of crime, you probably should think about contacting Meta, for information about the possible location of this person through here. Or if it's a child exploitation case, that's going to be very much focused on pictures, social media, that kind of thing. It's very different from a murder investigation. So digital forensics doesn't mean that it has to be a cyber crime. It can be any type of crime. And so I think that making it more intuitive for investigators to think about the location of evidence and what maybe they haven't thought about in the past will really be more effective. So I think that AI is going to have can be very positive, but we're very much lagging behind, and we haven't thought in those terms, unfortunately.
Let alone regulated in those terms. What data should it or could it access? The fact that your Apple Watch records your heart rate, and if you happen to be going by a crime, your heart rate gets elevated because you're scared, you may very well end up on the short list as a suspect, because they think you committed the crime. In theory, in practice, right? It's a scary world in that regard. Still say day one intern all day. Ask it to write you the template and then figure it out from there, which is a huge improvement for me from where I was. Don't let it do anything. I think it's helpful.
Yeah, because as well as that, if you have like somebody who's a rookie investigator and they're not, one of the things that often comes up that people don't think about are water meters. And if somebody has been murdered, you can actually look at certain water meters and you can see if they were active at 2 a.m., for example, and a large amount of water was used to maybe clean up a crime scene and that kind of thing. And people don't often think about those types of things. So IoT evidence is really key in a lot of investigations today, and there's many digital footprints that we don't think about.
You bring up IoT and it makes me laugh because I forgot the name of the book, but there's some court case in Europe, in England, I believe, where a husband murdered his wife and he yelled at her for 40 minutes before murdering her, and Alexa heard the whole thing. So in court, the Alexa device was listening the whole time. It doesn't just listen when you say hello; it listens all the time. They just played back the recording. The guy was just dumbfounded. Yep. So it's a crazy fishbowl world we live in. But a little bit, it got me on a little bit of tangent there.
I was just thinking about, there was another case that was solved where somebody happened to notice that there was a parked Tesla car. I don't know whether I mentioned this before. And there was a shooting. And what people don't realize that is when a Tesla is turned off, activity in front of the car will actually activate its cameras. And so one of the detectives said, let's see if we can get evidence from that parked Tesla over there. And they actually caught the whole shooting on camera.
Wow.
From the Tesla, yep.
Yeah. Goes back to my point of classic cars, people meeting in person. Just throwing it out there. No, it's a crazy world we live in, but all these analytics are feeding engines that are helping us be smarter, helping cities be built better, right? Saul wasn't here to talk about Places AI, but I will, right? Up to the minute engagement. Where am I when I leave my home? Where do I go? Where do I go next? What should that next retailer be? So there's a lot of benefit I see out there. But Darren, to your point, Becca and Chris, all around, how much of it is actually learned intelligence, or are we just recanning what we're told out of an app and not learning anything? And at the end of the day, shout out to Saul not being here, heading towards Idiocracy, the movie, which is one of his favorites. For those of you, I highly suggest it. We'll ask him next month. We are literally at the top of the hour. For those tuning in, I want to thank our audience. First and foremost, 3,200 downloads and tune-ins monthly. That's the top 5 to 10% of podcasts globally, simulcast, whatever you want to call it today. LinkedIn, X, Instagram, other channels that Becca knows about and speaks about, and anywhere you get your audio. But more importantly, join us at CRE Tech. Take advantage of our coupons that we offer you, the deep discounts we offer you.
The day is here. The day is here. It is with great excitement that I welcome you all to CRECo.ai, New York City, 2023.
At CCIM, for those of you in the commercial real estate investment management area, as opposed to brokerage and all other areas. ICSC, the International Council for Shopping Centers, now the International Community Commerce Group, and others. There's so many events, so many places, so many people. Most importantly, this one right here. And in true form, although it's been some time, can I get one book or podcast from each of you for the audience? What's the one thing they should look into or read the next 30 days? Or listen to for those of us on Audible? Becca, you're to my right.
All right. So my entire team and I just did Now Discover Your Strengths, which is Gallup, Clifton, Strengths Finder. We all ran through it, and I have like the coolest, most talented, most amazing human beings working with me. I will tell you that hands down. But always awesome to go on a journey of self-discovery.
Okay. Chris, how about your side? Construction for Dummies. No.
What's that? Oh, construction for dummies? No, that's not gonna work out at all. We're not gonna. We'll leave that to others to build that way. But I would say I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I have a friend, Julie Brown, has a book called "This Blank Works." This SH, you know what? This blank works.
But we're not on cable. You can curse. It's okay. We'll edit it out later. But yes, I'm with you. What's it about?
It's the I is an exclamation point. It's a networking book. She's a networking professional, good friend of mine, keynote speaker. But I'm a big fan of kind of smaller books where, you take a flight, you take one night, you can kind of run through it. You could read it several times, pick up on different things. It's super interactive, but that's a really, really good networking book. So I'll go with that one. And I'm sticking to it.
And Darren, for your one piece of literature, audio, video.
Can I do a
podcast?
Do a shameless plug?
Yes.
Only if it's this podcast. But go ahead.
CISSP Cert Guide with Pearson. I co-authored this over the summer. It's now in its 5th edition. So if you're interested in cybersecurity and getting a CISSP certification, go out and buy the book. But
give the longhand. What's the certification and what does it do? So
CISSP. It's for anybody interested in cybersecurity, but especially cybersecurity professionals who want, an industry-wide recognized certification. So
is this a basics course? Is this the IT basics, cybersecurity? Like, what level are we talking? There's a lot in here. So
yeah, it's generally taken by digital forensics experts or people in threat intelligence or people in the cybersecurity world. But apart from books, one thing I did over the summer that I really enjoyed that I haven't done a lot of until this summer was visit a museum, visit an art gallery. We pass by these things so often, and it's actually great to take your mind off your work and take the stress away and think about kind of the amazing art that we have in our midst and don't take advantage of.
Back to Chris's work-life balance of it all, getting back to the real world, which, hey, we all were desperate to do during COVID. Let's not forget, right? When we couldn't do it. Now, how many people still go out and do it? Or are just back at work, back to the old norms. All right, 7:04. We're actually 4 minutes over the hour. We did better than the entire group today. Again, thanks to the audience. Thanks to my co-hosts. Tune in next month, every month, first Thursday of the month for the CRECo.ai Roundtable. Anywhere you get your audio, anywhere you get your video, soon to be on the other channels as mentioned and otherwise. In the show notes, we'll include links to the books, audio, videos suggested. And Darren, congrats on publishing your book. That's exciting.
Thank you.
Looking forward to seeing you all next month. And Mr. Mendoza, thank you for all you do back there on the production side.
Thanks for tuning in to the Real Estate Roundtable, powered by CRECo.ai, your source for the latest in real estate and technology. For past episodes, sector interviews, and more great content, follow us on all social media and YouTube at CRE Collaborative. You can also find us anywhere you listen to podcasts. Please like, subscribe, and share. It really does help. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you at the next Real Estate Roundtable.